Hi there, I'm Jackie, and today I'm going to give you a simple, straight talking look at how hypnosis actually works. No jargon, no mystery, just your brain, your imagination, and this wonderful, wiggly, expanding ball to help you finally make sense of what's going on inside your mind. So in hypnosis, you're not zonked out or you're not under my control. It's not like you see at the shows. You're just simply in a different state of focus. And when you're in that state of focus, the hypnosis can begin and your mind becomes much more open to releasing old patterns that no longer serve you. So think of it as giving your brain a reset button. You're restoring what should happen naturally instead of living in survival mode, as so many do. So I'm going to walk you through a few easy models to help you make sense of what's going on inside your mind. You call it your subconscious, your unconscious, your monkey brain, but it's that part of you that runs all your automatic systems and reactions. So let's start with the two hemispheres of your brain and why we behave the way we do. So you've got these two sides. You've got one side deals mainly with intellect and learning, and the other with creativity and imagination. Now I know that's not strictly accurate to say that they're divided so neatly in real life, but it's really helpful for understanding how hypnosis works, I'm hoping. So on the intellectual side, we store all the maths, the sciences, the languages, and the structured learning that we do. So that's why when someone has a knock to a certain area of the brain, they may lose speech patterns or certain abilities, because that particular part of the brain has been affected. Now on the other side, we have creativity, the part that handles imagination, intuition, art, holistic thinking. So here we have our two hemispheres. And in the middle sits a kind of a junction box, but I'll explain that in just a moment. Now, it's well known that when there's a clash between your intellect and your emotions, the emotional, creative side will always win. So perhaps think of a time when you've had an argument with a partner and you're shouting, you're reacting, you're raging, you're saying things that you later regret. And then 10 minutes afterwards you think, why on earth did I say that? Or maybe you've been driving along and having a little mutter and a moan because the driver in front of you has done something that you consider silly. Or maybe you've fallen out with someone and your mind is replaying it all in the background long after the situation is over. That's your instinctive system firing off. Your fight, flight, freeze response. So fight, we fight verbally or physically. Flight, we run away or avoid. And freeze, we curl in, we shut down and just hope it all goes away. Maybe you recognise that in yourself somewhere. Could be why you're watching this video now. So when the creative emotional part of the brain gets activated, it produces images and scenarios that haven't actually happened. Excuse me. Have you ever imagined a conversation that didn't take place or convinced yourself that someone has said something that they never did? That's your creativity overpowering your intellect. Remember what I said, if there's conflict, the emotional side always wins. That's why we get ourselves tied up in knots and worked up over things that never actually happened. It's completely normal. So if you're thinking you're a bit odd, you could be, but no, you're definitely not. So let me show you what's happening. So we've got the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and the bit that sits in the middle is called the corpus callosum. It's a big band of white matter connecting the two sides. So to keep it simple, let's imagine what I'm trying to tell you here. So this is your fight, flight, freeze mechanism. Fight, flight, freeze, all day long. It can sit there doing this, reacting to things, firing up quickly, and something happens and poof, and it expands just like this. and it thinks, whoa, I don't like that. Now, when I threw that ball at the screen, some of you perhaps blinked as if I was right in front of you, and that's your automatic reaction. That's your fight, flight, freeze response. And over time, we accumulate stress factors, those little bits of stress that build and build and build. And some of you may recognize that feeling of being close to blowing your top. And if your fight, flight, freeze is constantly active, boom, 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 life happens, there's an accident, a breakup, financial, job stress, conflict, pressure, more stress. The system just doesn't fully shut down. It stays switched on. And when the system is fired up like this, that's when it's going to reduce cortisol, chemicals, and electrical impulses through the body. And these are what make you jump, flinch, blink, or react without thinking. Normally, once the stressor is gone, everything settles and the electrical impulses calm. The cortisol eases, the system powers down. But if we don't address the stress, it builds, 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 builds until it feels like we're going to pop. So think of yourself like a pressure cooker with a valve sitting at the top of your head. That pressure is just building and building and building and building. All that stress, all that worry, building up. Recent argument, building up. Financial stress, building up. And with everyday stress, we get so wound up. And the pressure comes down a little bit, but it never fully settles. So we stay on edge until we can release that pressure valve through hypnosis. Now with anxiety, the system's constantly on and it sits there like this, and the smallest trigger sets it off again. I'm sure many of you will recognise that feeling. Now you might be thinking, all right, Jackie, so that's what stress does, but how does hypnosis actually help, and how can it help me? Well, hypnosis works by calming this whole system down. When you go into a hypnotic state, the body switches from that fight, flight, freeze response into the rest and digest response, which is known as the parasympathetic nervous system. Through hypnosis, this allows the mind to become quieter, more receptive, and much easier for us to work with. And in that calmer state, we can begin reducing the intensity of those built-up stress responses, changing the way the brain reacts to triggers and creating new patterns that feel safer and much more manageable. So instead of this, hypnosis helps it settle like this. So if you'd like to speak to me about what's going on for you personally, feel free to send me a message and we can talk about my approach and how I can support you. I don't need to know all the history of what's happened in your past. And people will say to me, well, how many sessions will I need? Well, really, it depends on you. Entirely on you. I don't do these block bookings of 6, 12, 18 sessions, because if we can resolve it in one session, that's brilliant, isn't it? Just one. If we need 2 or 3 sessions, then that's what we do. But it's always led by your progress. So, thank you for spending time with me today. I hope this has helped you understand your mind a little bit better and reminded you that nothing about the way you react makes you strange or broken. So if you'd like to explore how hypnosis could support you personally, pop me a message and we'll chat. So take care, look after yourself, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.